My plans for today got changed. I don't know if you can see that, but it's snowing. I was planning on planting my tulips. I've got like tulips and hyacinths, and it is bright. There we go. Okay, now you can kind of see it. At any rate, it's snowing, so we'll just go ahead and try and move my plans for starting our bulbs tomorrow, which you will see if that happens. But for now, it's just time to kind of button up the homestead, and I thought you might want to come along and button it up with me. The lock on the chicken coop, obviously, we keep the key with it. It is the only purpose of it is to try and outsmart raccoons. Because raccoons are pretty dang smart animals, and they can open all kinds of latches and all sorts of stuff. So we basically just figured, well, if we got the latch on there, we may as well lock it too. And I can't imagine them having the force to be able to break that. Pigs are fed and happy. Ducks and chickens are locked up and safe. So now, since it's so cold, all I gotta do before I go inside is turn on the heater in the well house, just to be safe. Today is the first snow of the season where I'm at. It's the end of December. I don't know what the date is. I used to hate snow. I still kind of do to a point, but I don't hate it with the level of passion that I used to hate it. I used to work outside, and I hate driving in the snow, refuse to drive in the ice, almost refuse to drive in the snow. So it used to have a big impact on me, and I hated it. But now it doesn't. I don't have to go anywhere. I work from home, so I can just sit here and enjoy the beauty that God has bestowed on our homestead. Probably gonna go inside, grab a cup of coffee, just chill out here in the calmness that snow brings. See you in the morning. It's tomorrow. It's cold. Thankfully, the snow is relented and melted before I even woke up this morning. But gosh dang it, it's cold. But as promised, we are still gonna plant our bulbs. We don't have a whole lot, so it shouldn't take too long. Let's go. So I haven't figured out exactly where we're gonna be planting these bulbs. I kind of almost want to put them right here. Because, and here's my thinking, you would think, but Anna, that's like zone 0 or zone 1 of permaculture gardening. It's right by your entrance. But here's the thing, I never come out here, ever. I always go over there. So it makes sense to plant flowers over here, because this is not going to be a place where I need to harvest things regularly. Last year I did put in this spot here with the fallen down cattle panel trellis. That is where last year I planted most of my cherry tomatoes, and I probably will end up doing that again. Okay, it's really cold. Here's the thing. Right there, garlic. That whole row right there, in the shade currently, that is garlic. This might be a better view. So this here is a row that last year I planted with beans, and I neglected my garden a lot last year. So there are most likely going to be a tremendous amount of volunteer beans growing up here. Here, the first part of it was tomatoes, or peppers, pardon me, and this back part of it, tomatoes. Again, going to be a lot of volunteers here. There's already a lot of grass there. I don't feel like dealing with that today. Up against the house, that was just a terrible place to grow in general. I think I'm going to put cabbage there There's one very long row all the way up against the whole house up until these rocks. That is one giant row. I think it's like 30 inches wide or so. And then we got a gap. And then we have the makings almost finished another row. I never ended up planting in there. All that is grown in there has been volunteer grass. Very annoying, gonna take a long time to actually recover that. Side note here, my son is heading into our big city today, and he's gonna pick me up a giant sheet of black plastic that I'm gonna have to kind of rotate around. I'll probably end up putting it here first. It's 25 feet by 100 feet. No, it's not. It's 10 feet by 100 feet. 6 mil plastic. It's the most reasonable one that I could find, most reasonably priced one that I could find that seems like it'll probably be good condition, last a couple seasons. I'm not looking to spend a fortune on a piece of plastic. I know that you can get much better ones, the ones that have like white on one side, black on the other side. I don't need the white. I don't care about the white. I just need the black, and I need something that is not going to be $150. So the one that he's getting me is going to be like $73, I think, something like that. So we'll just kind of rotate it around. I might even pick up a second one sometime next month if I feel the need to. I've got a lot of areas in this garden that I need to, one, recover, and two, there's also areas that I want to add more garden space to. So that's the plan. Over here we have many trellises, many rows. This is the only one without an actual trellis in it. I don't have a wide angle lens. I need to remember to put my arm out further. Let's get rid of that, it looks weird. These trellises here are not going anywhere. They're just simply, they're Tomatolandia, okay? That is just where their home is, because where we live, it is basically clay mixed with rock. That's all we got. So getting these T-posts in the ground takes an incredible amount of effort without machinery. We're talking like, my husband was out here, he's the one who hammered most of these into the ground because it's just beyond my physical capabilities at the moment. But he was out here, and it was over 100 hits with like super strong man strength hits. Over 100 of them. I just stopped counting at 100 just to get a single T-post in the ground. So they're not going anywhere. I'll intermix them. I'll plant like, you know, basil and other things that are complementary to tomatoes and help to kind of reduce any kind of disease or pests that are common with tomatoes, but they're not anything that are going to be rotated. This row here, last year I grew peppers on one side, eggplants and tomatillos on the other side. And again, neglected garden, there's going to be a lot of tomatillos in here. Eggplants not so much. Peppers also not so much. There'll probably be a few though. Then over here you can kind of see, I can kind of see, there are two like kind of smaller beds, and then we got 3 kind of longer ones here. Those 2 were okra, and this one was an African spinach. I think it's called bite kuteku. Don't come at me if I'm wrong. It's also very windy. I apologize, but that's just life. But at any rate, deers love it. So nothing really came of that. And then here, there are 2 more beds, kind of small, just kind of squares. 2 longer strips here. I don't know if you can tell, but they're probably 3 feet by 12 feet if I had to guess. Those were hubby's last year. He'll probably want to plant in them again. Last year, hubby made a lot of garden bed space, and mostly for his potatoes. And I know he's going to want to grow a bunch more potatoes this year, so I'm not sure which ones he wants to use and which ones he's going to let me use. I don't know. So we'll have to talk about that. Here, sunchokes. Those are definitely going to be moving, but I'm sure that we will leave behind enough to be able to repopulate there. But that's going to be, we're going to be growing a lot of higher calorie crops this year. Potatoes. I know corn's not necessarily high calorie, but pigs love it. Sunchokes, potatoes, sweet potatoes, just things that, you know, that have a lot of calories to them, so we can help to feed our animals, which is the main reason that we are growing this garden. It's a great way to cut down on the feed bill. And I love gardening, so it's a win-win. Obviously, I'm not going to want to plant them underneath the arched trellis there. Here we got like 4 pretty darn big beds here, and those ones also last year were like potatoes and beans and stuff like that. Hubby planted in those. And then over on the other side, I'm not going to go over there just yet, but over on the other side of where I showed you where the tomato trellises are, there's a big long fence, and then on the other side is a lot more garden space, but those are hubby's areas as well. So I'm really thinking I'm kind of stuck with zone 0 or zone 1. I'm not sure. I need to look into the permaculture jargon about it, but it's really seems like where it's gonna go. And another reason that I've kind of settled on this area here is because you can see they are grown with tires. There's tires in here. Tires are not the best thing to grow food in, and these are obviously we're not gonna eat them. So it seemed like win-win. We'll just put some decorative stuff in the ground right here. And this bed here is just a big circle tire. That one has comfrey growing in it. A very indecisive comfrey. Like it just keeps dying and coming back to life more than anything I've ever seen before. So I'm just gonna leave it be. We'll plant some flowers in there, some other types of flowers. But this bed here just seemed to make the most sense. So we're gonna see how much we can get done today. I know that bulbs are typically planted in the fall. I did not plant them in the fall, so I looked up if I could plant them now. And according to what I found, you can totally do it. You just don't dig it super much, you don't dig it much in the ground at all, and you cover it with about 2 inches of mulch. I got plenty of mulch over there. I don't know which direction it is on camera, but it's that way in real life. So anyways, let's get to digging. Never been much of a flower grower, so this is kind of new territory for me. I don't know if each bulb just shoots out one or if it shoots out many. I do know that it will spread with time, and I'll get more bulbs later on that I can dig up and plant elsewhere, which is my plan. Other than that, I don't know a whole lot about it. I also know that I cannot save this for next year, so it's either plant them now and risk failure or definitely fail. So I want to plant them, see what happens. You are just a ham there, dude. What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? These tulips definitely look worse for the wear. Oh, that is squishy. Ugh. Yeah, these tulips are definitely have seen better days. And ranunculus. These look like weird spiders. So now I need to go over there, get a couple, hopefully only one wheelbarrow, probably 2 wheelbarrows of wood chips to cover this guy with a bunch of mulch. So I got one of those little pesky annoying projects that I've been putting off for a while, finally done. And all that's left is the rest of it. I don't know where you can see, but it's a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff to do. Down here, kind of below where we were up there, is Squashlandia. I'm definitely planning on expanding it. We got a little more room over here that we can work with. Last year, Squashlandia did not do very well, and it was my fault. I didn't plant them very well. I kind of just threw them in. There is, I don't know if you can see on camera, but there is a little bit of a windy path where my husband, the first year we lived here, planted potatoes and laid down kind of a windy strip of soil. I'm going to be planting in that. However, in between now and then, I will be laying down plastic on here. With most of the garden, I'm planning on weed whacking it down before I cover it in the black plastic. And then when the plastic is done, I'm ready to do the same thing on another spot. I'm going to cover that area appropriately with mulch, compost, stuff like that, and kind of just moving along section by section. But the real problem with that is all of these trellises. I can't tarp them because the T-posts get in the way. So all of those, I'm gonna have to wait until it's a warm enough day I can work out here without gloves on, because it's really hard to weed those areas, and I just gotta put in some good old elbow grease, get out here for a few days when it's warmer, and just go to town, weed. So that's pretty much the current state of my garden. We're in recovery mode. We're in makeup mode, trying to make up for everything that I did to screw everything up last year. We'll see how it goes. I know there's no way that I'm the only person out there who has flower bulbs or whatever that people say you're supposed to plant in the fall. Give it a try. Throw it in the ground. See what happens. What's the worst that can happen? they don't grow. You know what's worse? You don't try and they don't grow anyways. So you may as well try and see what happens.